What's up, fellow comic fans? The name's Corebox Comics, or known on my other channel on YouTube, Yonko Corebox. I'm stoked to dive headfirst into the world of comics, and I want you to come along for the ride. As a new comic reader, I haven't had the chance to read as much as I'd like, but that's all about to change as I start making videos for fun. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm still a little clueless when it comes to the comic universe, but hey, that's all part of the fun, right? I'm constantly learning and growing, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes along the way, so don't be afraid to tell me when I fuck up. So, if you're watching my video, keep that in mind and feel free to drop some knowledge in the comments. I'm talking fun facts, insider info, you name it. As someone who's always been a huge fan of Marvel, I decided to expand my horizons and dive into the world of DC too. I mean, who wouldn't want to explore the likes of Superman, Batman, and The Flash, right? I really mean it when I say I barely know a damn thing about these characters. So when you suggest a story or hear me talking about them in a video, just remember that. I want to go beyond the mainstream characters too and discover some hidden gems. That's where you come in. I'll be sharing my experiences and insights on different DC characters through their stories, and I'd love to hear your suggestion as well if you can leave them in the comments, and I'll try to get to those stories eventually. Do the same for Marvel too though. Unless it gets highly requested or unless I have the time, I won't be focusing too much on long stories. I'll be focusing on short stories for now. That way I can familiarize myself with these characters without spending countless hours reading through a lengthy storyline. But if there's a really awesome run that I simply can't ignore, I'll make sure to give it the attention it deserves. So sit back, relax, and join me on this exciting adventure as we explore the vast universe of comics together. Today, I'm thrilled to share my thoughts on Sensational Spider-Man issue 23. Now, I know I just mentioned my preference for shorter stories, but come on, it's Spider-Man we're talking about here. He's one of my favorites ever. I couldn't resist. Let's swing into action together. The issue begins with Mary Jane Watson Parker, and wow, that is a mouthful. Waking up, searching for the comfort of her partner Peter, only to find the bed empty. Suddenly, she spots Peter outside donning his Spider-Man suit and looking troubled. When she asks what's going on, Peter confesses that he couldn't sleep and sensed that something was amiss. Without wasting any time, he puts on the mask and urges MJ to go back to bed. He has work to do. With a swift leap from their building, Spider-Man takes off into the night, leaving a bewildered Mary Jane behind. This is why you can't give dudes the girls they desire in life, because they take it for granted. Come on, Pete. You got the girl of your dreams waiting for you to come back to bed, and you do some shit like this? On second thought, though, he is Spider-Man, and I don't think anything can beat swinging in the city late at night. It's just something you can't pass on. Come early dawn, Mary Jane steps out to find Peter and Aunt May sitting at the table, sipping their morning coffee, but Peter is barely awake. You know that feeling when you spend the entire night playing one last game with your online squad, only to end up with just 2 to 3 hours of sleep before heading to school or work? Well, that's exactly how Peter appears, absolutely dead. With a cup of coffee in hand, MJ asks Peter how his night went, and we're taking inside Peter's mind as he recalls his battle with the Vulture from the previous night. Despite the physical blows they exchanged, Peter felt that it wasn't the roughest night he's ever had as Spider-Man. The scene shifts to the lab where Kurt Connors is conducting research. He agrees to examine a specific rock for Dr. Trayman, which suggests that this rock may be of a significant importance. Ha! You're definitely not going to turn into the lizard anytime soon, Kurt. I have no idea what this rock does, but I know it has something to do with what's been going on for the rest of this issue. You're going to see what I'm talking about. Peter Parker is at the zoo as a member of the press, hoping to get some pictures for the Daily Bugle. However, he soon discovers a gruesome crime scene where animals have been brutally killing each other. I'm talking monkeys have been ripping each other apart. I'm talking rhinos have been slamming themselves into cement walls until they die. Other animals have gone insane as well, making the scene all the more chaotic. It's a horrifying sight that leaves Peter wondering what could have caused such madness. As Peter snaps pictures of the gruesome scene at the zoo, we're shown flashbacks of his insane battle with the Vulture at night. Okay, saying insane for this battle with the Vulture is a little bit far-fetched, but you get my point. In the midst of the fight, Spider-Man gains the upper hand and demands answers from the villain. Then we hear these shocking words from the Vulture himself. He says, "I was hungry, Spider-Man. I was hungry, and vultures only eat dead things." This revelation leaves me wondering if the Vulture had actually eaten some of the dead animals at the zoo, or if he's referring to something else entirely. The possibility that he may be a cannibal like the Spider-Nord version of Vulture, who was responsible for the death of Uncle Ben, is a sickening thought. Either way, the revelation adds a dark and disturbing layer to the story. At the Daily Bugle, John Jameson, the accomplished astronaut and son of J. Jonah Jameson, eagerly awaits a chance to speak with his father. However, the senior Jameson is currently occupied in a meeting, leaving the once promising son in a state of limbo. John's bright future was derailed when he stumbled upon an alien gemstone that ultimately infected him at one point, halting his progress and throwing his life into disarray. Before this whole thing with the wolf, and I have no idea what the wolf is, this version of John Jameson appears markedly different from the ones I'm familiar with. He seems restless and perhaps even dangerous, as evident by his impatient and forceful handling of his suitcase while waiting for his father. However, his demeanor softens when he catches sight of MJ, and who can blame him? Someone he hasn't seen in years. He approaches her, eager to reconnect and catch up on lost time. MJ visits the Daily Bugle in search of Peter, but he's nowhere to be found, and you expect that. In his absence, she strikes up a conversation with John, with whom she also hasn't spoken to in years. They attempt to catch up with each other, but we all know how it is playing that game with someone who we haven't seen in years. As their conversation begins to wind down, MJ fakes her own illness and departs, promising to arrange a dinner at a later date for herself, Peter, and John. However, John sees through this bullshit. He sees through her excuse and suspects that the dinner will never come to fruition. As MJ leaves, she unknowingly drops her scarf, which John picks up with a sinister expression on his face. He resolves to ensure that their meeting will happen, regardless of the circumstances. And yeah, that's not creepy at all. The sudden shift in John's demeanor is unsettling, and his actions and expressions exude an unsettling sense of darkness and desperation. It's a reminder of how life's unexpected twists and turns can impact even the most gifted individuals, leaving them struggling to cope with the weight of unfulfilled expectations. That and a fucking space alien that infects you can definitely do that to you. At least that's how I see it with John's character in this storyline. We're presented with a scene of Peter riding the subway home, showcasing his relatable human side. This moment serves as a reminder that even heroes desire to experience life as an ordinary individual, and not solely as a superpowered being. But fuck that, you ungrateful bastard. Do you know the power you wield? I'll give you the pass though, because you got a lot on your mind, my boy. But god damn it, you're Spider-Man. I'd never ride the train again if I was Spider-Man. Peter is riding the train when he suddenly feels a sense of unease, causing his heightened spider senses to go off. Determined to uncover the source of his discomfort, he begins to investigate the train car filled with people. Eventually, he discovers the cause of his alarm: a little girl attempting to smuggle a dog onto the train. Hardly any danger at all. Unless you take into account that the little girl has this dog stuffed into her jacket. In that case, the dog is probably trying its best to breathe. No, but Peter's perplexed as to why his spider senses would alert him to this innocent situation, and the confusion weighs heavily on his mind. Peter, Secret Invasion just launched. Maybe it's a scroll in disguise. You better check that girl one more time. Better yet, check the dog. That's the fucking poser. Also going on that night, Kirk Connors is struggling in pain, desperately resisting his transformation into the lizard. He's actually got the same pose and look I do when I decide to have Taco Bell and immediately regret it 2 hours later. Yet I trap myself all over again a month or two later. Inside MJ and Peter's house, MJ receives a call from Peter. He shares his strange experience with his spider sense with MJ, and she listens to him well and tries to bring up someone she saw at the Daily Bugle too. However, Peter interrupts the conversation as he needs to take another call. Peter, that's cold as fuck to do, man. I don't even gotta describe how she's gonna be feeling at this point, like you're just using her just to vent and then blow her off a second later. But it was an important phone call that he had to take. MJ starts a conversation with Aunt May, asking her if she enjoys living with them. It's revealed that they are currently residing at the Avengers Tower. This raises the question to me of what circumstances led them to move there. If you're still listening, anyone care to fill me in? During their conversation, MJ inquires if Aunt May even considered moving to a more private location where they could live under Peter's name rather than Spider-Man's. It's worth noting that Aunt May is aware of Peter's secret identity in this particular universe or storyline. I'm starting to think now, and the timing would be perfect, so I would like to think these two things connect, but could this possibly be the same timeline and take place after the Civil War storyline where Peter unmasked himself to the world? Because I actually know that one. Again, let me know if I'm right or way the fuck off. Either way, a universe where Aunt May knows Peter's identity and we don't have to tap dance around her for this secret is already a way better storyline. But Aunt May replies to MJ. Aunt May has a soft spot for Mr. Jarvis. However, her train of thought is interrupted when MJ picks up a knife and becomes fixated on it. As Aunt May expresses her concerns, MJ's behavior leaves her dumbfounded. MJ, we don't need this to become a Friday the 13th reboot. Now that I think about it, where is a Friday the 13th reboot? It's been ages. Dr. Connors is in a desperate situation, fighting against the transformation that threatens to overtake him. In a panic, he reaches out to Peter for help, not for himself, but for the safety of his son Billy, who happens to be in the apartment with him. Fearful that he may have already hurt someone, Dr. Connors pleads with Peter to come quickly. As Peter races to the rescue, he tries to keep Dr. Connors talking on the phone, but their conversation is cut short by an ominous silence. Peter asks, Doc, are you still there? To which he hears on the phone, Yes, we're both here, Peter. All hope fades as Dr. Connors succumbs to the transformation and transforms into the menacing lizard. But the situation takes a turn for the worse when a second lizard appears too. I really hope this ain't Billy, who somehow turned into a lizard too. But either way, it's not looking good for Billy. Because if it's not Billy, who's the other lizard, he's still in the same house as two wild lizards, and one was bad enough. Bless that kid's soul if he gets captured. Could it be Billy who's in danger, or is it someone else at risk? Either way, I think this transformation and the results of those animals tearing each other apart has something to do with that mysterious rock Dr. Connors was researching. Not a bad first issue. The first issue of this comic book left me with plenty of questions. Spider-Man's spidey senses off, Mary Jane's sudden behavior with a knife is concerning, what happened to those animals, and the appearance of John Jameson adds to the intrigue. But the biggest mystery is the emergence of two lizards, one of whom is unknown. I'm eagerly anticipating. Stay tuned for the next part of this video. And thanks for watching. Like, sub, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.